Okay guys, that was a great game session. Let's figure out when our next game session will be.
Oh, I can play pretty much whenever.
I'm pretty sure next Saturday will work for me, though I can't quite read all of my handwriting here.
No, I can't do next Saturday. I got that thing with that dude. How about Sunday?
No, this Sunday's no good. I can do the following Sunday, though. How's that work for everyone?
Oh no, I can't do Sundays. Sorry.
But you just said you could play pretty much whenever.
Well, not on Sundays. That's when I bathe in the blood of my enemies. Yeah.
Oh, what an idiot! I'll give you some blood to bathe in.
Wonderful. Here we go again.
Now come on, you guys. Knock it off. Let's focus on hammering out the schedule. Okay, perfect. Our next game will be on Saturday, September 2nd at 4 p.m.
But that's in 2023. We're gonna have to wait 2 years to play again.
Well, that's right. It's the only way to ensure that everyone can be there.
Well, this sucks.
Welcome to the DM Lair. I'm Luke Harr, and I've been a dungeon master since high school. On this channel, I give practical GM advice that you can use in your D&D and RPG game. Today in the Lair, we're going to be discussing the top 7 reasons RPG games fall apart and what you can do about it. But first, a quick reminder to check out Lair magazine at the link below. If you're a game master looking to reduce your prep time and improve your game, Lair magazine might be just what you need. Every issue contains 2 5th edition adventures, maps for use on virtual tabletops, and lots of other GM resources. DM Lair patrons not only get a new issue of Lair magazine every month, but also additional resources such as extra 5e adventures and map packs and other patron-only content. Now, if Patreon isn't your jam, you can get back issues of Lair magazine on the DM Lair store at the link below, and until the end of this week, all Lair magazine bundles are 10% off. Just be aware that back issues do not include all the bonus content that DM Lair patrons receive each month. Number 1. The scheduling spiral of death. Scheduling is the #1 killer of RPG games according to every single poll I've ever done and ever seen done on the topic. Taken at surface value, the problem is obvious. Folks have a lot of things going on in their lives, and finding time to play an RPG can be challenging. And then when you do have a game going, you have real life stuff interfering, marriage, jobs, moving, other activities players and GMs are involved in, and all that good stuff. Here's my advice for avoiding this killer of campaigns. First, find a day of the week and time that works for most players most of the time, and choose a reoccurring interval to play the game, such as every week. So, as a group, you might pick every other Saturday from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. as your game time. Remember, it's a time that works for most players most of the time. If 5 of the 6 people can find a time to play, but otherwise there is no time that works for everyone, then you'll just have to play with 5. I mean, what's the other option? No one plays? No one has fun? That's a lose-lose for everyone. No, it does suck that someone might not get to play, but that is the reality of scheduling. Sometimes it doesn't work out for everyone. Sometimes you have to be an adult and make tough calls. And what you do not do is simply try to schedule the next game at the end of a game session. You know, where everyone pulls out their calendars at the end of a game session, on their phones of course, and tries to find a time that works for the next game session. I can tell you from experience that, especially with adults and folks with jobs and or families, this usually leads to infrequent games with large gaps between. That's what infrequent means. They have large gaps between occurrences. Second, once you find that day, time, and interval to play, you have your schedule. That schedule is holy. It is sacred. You do not change it. In other words, when Jim Bob can't make a session, you do not skip the session. You do not try to reschedule. You play the game on that day without Jim Bob. The game must go on. Here's the thing, and I know there are lots of poor bleeding hearts out there and how it's not fair and all of that, but here's the truth of the matter. Skipping sessions and rescheduling when one player can't make it, this is the first step on that slippery slope that we call the scheduling spiral of death. Sometimes you reschedule and skip and recover, and everything goes on just fine with your campaign. But the annals of RPG history are filled with groups who refuse to play the game unless everyone is there, and who then get into the habit of skipping sessions or trying to reschedule and then failing to, and then as a consequence find themselves playing the game less and less until there is no game at all. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the scheduling spiral of death, and it has consumed the souls of many a fine RPG player and game master over the years. And that is why I caution against the mentality of only playing when everyone is there. It can eventually lead to no one playing at all. And to everyone who is angrily typing a comment right now about everyone in their group being friends and not wanting anyone to miss out, let me ask you this. If you have 6 players and one of them can't make a game, and you play anyway, how many people miss out on that game? That's right, 1. Now, if you have 6 players, 1 can't make a game, and you don't play at all, how many people miss out on that game, on that fun? That's right, 6. So which is the lesser of two evils then? I don't know about you, but I personally would rather have fun with some of my friends than have fun with none of my friends. Third, I will concede that if lots of players can't make a game session, such as 3 out of your 5 players, then it is probably best to just cancel the game session. That's okay. I do that myself from time to time. It gives everyone a nice break, and the GM can get ahead on campaign preparation. The players can do something else. Absence can make the heart fonder. As long as they aren't frequent and extended absences, those tend to make the heart fonder of something else. Now, despite everyone and their grandma claiming that scheduling is the #1 killer of campaigns, there is something else to consider here. Scheduling might be the surface reason a campaign falls apart, but there might very well be other real reasons behind it. And what do I mean by that? Well, people often give their schedule or being too busy as an excuse not to play the game when something else is really going on. You see, being busy and having scheduling conflicts is the socially acceptable way to bow out of something in our culture. So many times people will offer that up when there's actually something else going on, such as the campaign killers we'll be discussing in just a moment. Thus, that is another reason I recommend not canceling a game session when one player can't make it. Because it's quite possible they just don't want to play, or the last Call of Duty game just came out, or whatever, and they want to play it nonstop and get caught up, or yeah. So, why cancel everyone's fun when one player just doesn't want to be there? Number 2, the game master is horrible. Come on, folks, let's admit it. Sometimes the GM just sucks and the players don't want to play in their game, so they leave and find another. It's easy for game masters to point the finger at their players, blame them for being disinterested and not paying attention, blame them for flaking out 30 minutes before the game and not showing up, blame players for not being invested enough in the GM's game. However, sometimes the problem lies with us, the game masters. We can be the reason players leave and campaigns fall apart. The multitude of ways a game master can drive their players away are varied. They are not prepared. They keep canceling the game. They are toxic and mean-spirited. They have a GM versus player mentality and are always trying to win the game, whatever that means. They can't deal with high or mid-level gameplay, and it's a train wreck. They don't know the rules, and we could go on and on. When I pinged my community for the top reasons their campaigns fell apart, one of them responded with this: you have many friends, you may have fewer D&D players, and you will have even fewer good D&D players. But the rarest of all, you will have the fewest good game masters to guide them. You see, it's easy for GMs to complain about their bad players and scheduling issues. However, few GMs have the emotional intelligence and self-awareness to realize that they might be a big part of the reason the game fell apart. Bad GMs will cause players to walk just as much as any other thing. My entire YouTube channel and the D&D community we're building over on my Discord server are dedicated to helping game masters improve and run awesome games for their players. So don't feel bad. Don't feel depressed. You're not alone. We all can improve. We all can get better. So Keep watching the videos, keep trying to grow and get better, and join my Discord at the link below. Bunch of plugs there. Watch my videos, join my Discord. Yee! Number 3, the players are horrible. Look, we know it's true. We've all had that guy or that girl in our RPG group. Or several of them. That sociopath nut job, the person who is unattentive and aloof in the game and makes it feel slow and boring. Players with MCS, main character syndrome, who hog the spotlight and won't let others play. The players who are not dedicated or interested in the game and just want to screw around and BS with others during the game. Toxic players, players with bad attitudes when any little negative thing happens to their character. The list is endless. The solution here is for the game master to first talk with the problem player and try to resolve the issue. Have a conversation. Tell them what the issue is and the effect it is having on the game, and discuss together a possible solution. Don't be afraid to suggest or even request a course of action the player should take to remedy their behavior. And finally, if after a couple conversations the behavior continues and is having a detrimental effect on the game, it's time to remove that player from the group. See my video about removing a player from your D&D group for help with that. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you're finding advice in this video helpful, tap that thumbs up button and leave a comment for the algorithm down below. Let YouTube know that I don't completely suck. Number 4, the players and or game master aren't having fun. To be clear, this is not the same as being bad players or a bad game master. You can have perfectly fine players and a game master, but some of them just aren't enjoying the game. And again, the reasons for folks not having fun are many and varied and probably not worth discussing since they might not apply to your particular game anyway. But what is worth discussing is what to do about it. First, the game master and players should be keeping tabs on their own fun and everybody else's fun. Then, if the GM or a player notices that it seems like they or others aren't enjoying the game as much anymore, call a timeout. Timeout! Hey, what's up, Dungeon Coach? How you doing? Did I just make fun of him in my video? Not really, Alan. I'm sorry. You're awesome. Much love. Anyway, call that a timeout, open up a conversation around it. Hey guys, I've been noticing that it seems like we aren't all having as much fun as we used to. I know I haven't been. I'm not pointing fingers or complaining, but I was hoping we could talk about it and perhaps figure out something together about how we can get back to the fun we used to have. And then the group talks collectively about it. You all might be able to identify things that are decreasing the fun and things that could make the game more enjoyable for you. Remember, it might not be anyone's fault or anything anyone is consciously doing. The goal is not to find blame, but to find solutions. Also, starting this conversation is something anyone can do. It doesn't have to be the game master. Players, own your game, own your fun. If enjoyment is decreasing, bring it up. Don't just pack up and quit the game. It's not doing anyone any good without first having a conversation about it. I'll tell you, I've had many players leave my groups over the years, and I sometimes suspect it was because they weren't having fun for one reason or another, but they never talked with me about it. They never gave me a chance to understand what was going on and perhaps change things. They just picked up their stuff and left, and then sent me an email and was like, Luke, I'm out. I'm like, okay, all right, I don't know why, but all right, that's fair. As one game master, to all players out there, I beseech thee, give your game master that chance. Number 5, interpersonal issues. Player incompatibility, arguments between players, infighting, grudges, bickering, sore feelings, passive-aggressive behavior, players using their characters' actions to punish other players' characters. These are the things that slowly or quickly tear a campaign and a group apart. In my experience, relationships and couples have been a large source of interpersonal issues. The husband and wife who are always bickering, the couple who breaks up but both remain in the game, bringing in more drama than anyone would ever want. I've also had players that weren't bad people nor bad players, but they just didn't mesh well with the group and the other personalities. And I think we've all had players who just get upset with each other, the bad feelings persist, and then the entire game takes a nosedive. And here's the thing, sometimes there is blame to be laid, and sometimes there isn't. But at the end of the day, if no one does nothing, Those interpersonal issues will eat your campaign alive from the inside out and leave it as a decomposing corpse along the RPG roadside. Let's just get dramatic around here, shall we? Of course, the ideal situation is that folks can talk through their disagreements and peace and sanity can be restored to the game. But that isn't always possible, and it just doesn't always happen. In some cases, the very best thing anyone can do for a game is to remove the problem player or players from the group. And then everything miraculously gets 200% better overnight. In fact, I've experienced that each time I've removed a problem player from one of my games, each and every time. Number 6, unmet expectations. This is when folks are expecting X from the game, but they get Y instead, and that's disappointing for them. For instance, the style of game changes midway through the campaign, or it might start off being something different than what the players or GM expected. The game master might diverge from the campaign's promised storyline, whatever that means. Whether they are running a module or a homebrew, this could be the case. The game might become too much about individual player or character interests and not about the group's interests and playing together. When expectations are not met, it can lead to players not having fun and or becoming bored, and from the game master losing interest in running the game at all. And then the campaign just sort of fizzles out, or folks move on to a game that better suits what they're looking for. My suggestion is for the group to discuss and set expectations during a session 0 for the style of game that will be played and which of the 3 basic social dynamics the group will use. For more information on the 3 basic social dynamics, collective play, competitive collective play, and individualist play, see my player versus player video. The game master should also pitch a campaign premise to the players, gauging interest and making sure the players want to play the game. For instance, in this campaign, we'll be playing an Eberron. You'll choose one of the dragon-marked houses as a patron, and then you discover rumors of an ancient artifact recently unearthed on Argonessen that your patrons want you to recover. Obviously, you can't tell your players too much or it ruins the mystery of the campaign, but you should give them a high-level premise that they can buy into and get excited about. Number 7, lack of player agency. I feel like I rant about this quite enough already on my channel, so I'll spare you that today and just give you the too long didn't read version, that TLDR something, whatever. Basically, when the game you're running for your players feels a lot less like a game and more like the storyline of a novel that you are forcing your players along, and their choices are limited and their actions don't affect outcomes in the campaign, well, many players hate that sort of game. Many will decry and condemn it as a railroad, because when players don't have agency, it is. Leave angry posts on Reddit about my GM's crappy railroad and quit your game in a heartbeat. Game masters, don't script parts of the game for the sake of the story. Don't force certain events upon your players' characters. You are not writing a novel. You are running a game. Instead, create a situation and allow your players to react upon that situation any way they desire. Then you adjudicate what happens as a result. And that's how you run a game. And that's how awesome stories result. Not from the game master writing and determining them in advance. Click on the screen now to binge on another fine DM Lair video, or click to become a DM Lair patron and get an issue of Lair magazine every month. And until next time, let's play D&D.